Bob Thorson is the man behind the multi-million-dollar construction company, just named the best custom builder in Washington, D.C. 40 years ago, before Thorson Construction Company was even an idea, Bob knew what he wanted to do with his life.
I knew I had to become part of God's economy. He says that we are to be tithers and to give to His work.
It's a lesson he learned through his favorite television show. Bob enjoyed the program so much, he had to trek through a mountain just to see it.
We had a pastor friend who could get us television signal of a show called the 700 Club. Pat talked about giving. He knew the secrets to becoming part of God's economy.
Bob wanted to join the 700 Club, but he had no income. So he took a job for $2.75 an hour, using a pickaxe to break up rocks.
It was very hard work, but I did it because I wanted to become part of God's economy. And then I started giving.
Soon after, Bob says God directed him to do something that seemed unusual at the time.
I bought $5 worth of apples. And the Lord told me, go to that house, knock on the door, and give the lady the apples. And the lady said, praise the Lord, I've been praying for apples.
Bob befriended the elderly lady and repaired her aging house for free.
Neighbors would say, hey, would you come work at my house? And that was the start of Thorson Construction Company.
Susie, Bob's wife, remembers the early days.
There were days when we would just pray in the payroll. There were days when we would pray that the sink would arrive so that we would get paid that day.
In spite of the challenges, the company grew. Bob and Susie thanked God and continued to tithe. While their business had several years of ups and downs, the recession of 2008 to 2010 threatened to close their doors.
It looked like it was over with for us. I told my wife, I said, if we don't get a loan, we're not going to make it through this time.
Bob applied for loans at 3 banks and was turned down.
And they also said, if you would stop giving money to Christian causes, you wouldn't be in this position you're in.
A few weeks later, Bob's payroll was due, and he knew he couldn't make the payments to his employees. In desperation, Bob went back to the bank.
They said, Mr. Thorson, don't worry about it. We'll cover you up to $100,000. The same bank that turned me down just a few weeks ago is now telling me don't worry about it. There's no way to explain it except God doing it.
2 weeks later, Thorson Construction signed an $8 million contract, the largest in the company's history.
And from then on, we've just been growing and growing and growing.
The Thorsons' gratitude is reflected in their faithful giving to CBN for the past 40-plus years.
CBN is still focused on the vision to spread the gospel throughout the whole world until the end comes. I've never seen a ministry that comes close to doing what CBN does.
Every time someone is saved, every time someone hears the gospel, I got to be part of that.
As the Thorsons relax at their home in the Blue Ridge Mountains, they think about the giver of all their blessings.
I look back, I'm just amazed that I heard from the Lord. It's amazing.
They encourage everyone to give as they do.
You need to start giving, and then watch what God will do for you. He will start taking care of you. You'll see Him enter into your life in a new dimension.
It doesn't have to be a lot. We started with just a little. Tithing is a whole lot more about your heart than it is about the money.